the important thing here is to get more comfortable being uncomfortable. So just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean that you need to rush to find any kind of solution so that you can feel better, because sometimes the feeling better, you need to learn to feel better about something different, and that takes training. It's not just a case of, well, let's instantly fix this so that I don't feel bad, even though the fix that you're applying is actually not going to be good for you.
Welcome to the SuperClinic Project Podcast, Coach's Corner Edition. Ready to boost your practice by 10,000 in just 10 minutes? Join your coaches, Jennifer and Tracey, for fast and proven strategies that drive real results. Let's get started.
Welcome to the SuperClinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and we turn them into SuperClinic owners. Today is Coach's Corner, and we're going to ask the question, are you gaslighting yourself? And you are here with me, Jennifer Gligoric, and Tracey Sundkvist, our neuroscience expert, where we talk about gaslighting. You're not as bad as you say you are, and how you can stop gaslighting yourself. Tracey, tell us a little bit about gaslighting.
Sure. So gaslighting is something that we've seen a heck of a lot more of. And what this really is, it's a form of emotional or mental abuse, really. Now, it's one thing to be gaslit by someone else, which is what we're more familiar with. It's someone else making us doubt our own reality, our own decisions, our own self-worth, our own perceptions. The kicker is we can do this to ourselves. So we can play that role beautifully without anybody else, and we can do that to ourselves. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and have a look at some ways that we can move around it.
Yes. So a lot of people remember the movie Gaslight, and it was by Patrick Hamilton, and it became a film. And in it, he had a character by the name of Jack, and his wife's name was Bella. And he would do all this stuff to make her think that she was insane, right? I mean, it was a terrible movie. It was awful. And he would have these gaslights in the house, and he'd turn them down really low. And then she'd go, "What? Why are the lights so low? What are you talking about? They're normal." You know, things like that. And it was just really creepy. And he just kept making her question her own reality. And so we do this on the way we do it is because we say we love ourselves, we trust ourselves, yet we have decisions and actions kind of show the opposite of that. And then we have an internal mantra going along that also hits up against this, has nothing to do with the current reality. So for an example, why do things like this just happen to me? You know, my life shouldn't be this way, but that's not true. You chose all your you made all your choices, you made those decisions, and the reality is the one that you created. So you're automatically kind of lying to yourself on that. And there are certain statements that people make. And so if you're making statements like this, then you might be gaslighting yourself. Tracey, what are some other statements people can make?
Well, I think it's usually easier to pick out in relationships. So if you hear things like, we're just going through a slump, or we're just really busy right now, so that's why you're feeling some separation, and we'll get over it, right? So it's admitting that something's not right, that something's off, but then normalizing it and saying, well, it's okay, it's kind of going to breeze past. When it comes to the business space, what I see very often here for practice owners is telling themselves that as a healthcare practice owner, they don't need to be good at sales, right? So I'm not a salesperson. I don't need to know how to be a salesperson, because that's for businesses. This is health. Right. So it's just when we tell ourselves or put these limitations in the way, our reality becomes that is the reality, that is the truth. And the thing is, you can't do that. If you're a practice owner, that is something you absolutely cannot be doing, is putting these obstacles in the way that are going to prevent you from showing up as the practice owner, the CEO, making the decisions, making the choices, even the tough choices. So it's important for you to be able to understand what that's going to sound like, but then also, what do we do with it? Where do we go with it?
Yeah. There's this great saying, and it says, if the coffee tastes bitter, it is bitter. It is not your tongue malfunctioning. And that's from E. Zhu. And I just love that one, because you do need to trust your gut and stop stubbornly refusing to see how bad something is until it like destroys you, because the red flags are always there. And it isn't just denial. I mean, I'm not just saying you're all lying to yourselves, right? No, it's not just that. The neuroscience, and there's a lot behind it, and Tracey can talk about this too, is your brain tricks you into wanting to feel safe, into creating a safe environment for yourself. But it's protection that's run foul for you. At one point, it does. When you start to not trust your gut, and then you allow this need to feel safe to override the fact that if you keep on doing that, it's going to get really bad, and then you're going to be totally unsafe. And at that point, you'll say something like the divorce or the business partnership breakup, it came out of nowhere. When give it a couple of years and you'll say, well, he stopped taking my calls. And I would say, we if it's a business partner, they stopped taking my calls. They stopped coming in, on the days of the week that we had agreed they'd come in. They started taking more vacations. I noticed he talked about another investment that he was making, spending time with this other company, and telling me, oh, this is only temporary. But I could see he was so excited about it, and the excitement for what we were doing wasn't there anymore. I mean, that could be a personal relationship that happens to, or business relationships, staff, you see that a lot with staff. Oh, they're just going through a phase, or this, or this, or this, or this. And it just ends up being, oh, I don't know. I can't believe they just left. Well, they've had one foot out of the door for a long time, and you just didn't want to see it. And I think that goes into this other saying, that's easier to believe the lies you tell yourself, because delusion is easier to live with than the reality that you settled for an easier path to not do it. And that was S. Alder who said that, but that's like, oosh, that's a little bit of a tough one, right? When we can actually change it. What do you think about that, Tracey?
I think really what comes up for me is all of us are creating our own reality. We do that every day. That's part of being human, is that you construct your reality. We do want that reality to be as based in fact as possible, and not in self-deception. And I think that's really, when it comes to gaslighting, self-gaslighting, it's about being able to call BS on yourself for the nonsense that you tell yourself to prop up something that is comfortable or expedient. So sometimes you have to call yourself out, and you have to have the courage to do that. And as much because you're doing it to yourself, it's even you buy it so much more than somebody else, because you don't expect to be doing that to yourself. You don't expect to be putting yourself on a bad path. I mean, you expect to be putting yourself on the best path you can. And that's what makes it so insidious. But when you tell yourself those things, you automatically believing it because it's coming from a trustworthy source, because you are the most trustworthy source to yourself, surely.
Yes, you are. Because if you say, well, my life shouldn't be this way, but you need to start following up. Do I like it like this? Well, no. Okay, what am I going to do about it? And we get into comfort zones, right? So, and also too, you don't want to be in a painful situation. We get it, but pain is just pain. It just teaches us to move through that painful thing to in the non-painful state that we want to be in. But some people, what's that thing, is ease is not equal to easy, and comfort zones are not the same for everyone. For people who grew up in chaos or abusive families, their ease, what they think is okay, is really not okay, and they can't seem to get out of it. That's their ease, but it's not healthy for them. And so that's the comfort zone they need to escape, is the unhealthy one that they're used to, the chaos that they're used to, into one that's non-chaotic. And for people who grew up in chaos, non-chaos can often almost feel painful in some ways. That's very uncomfortable for them, but it doesn't serve them, and they're going to be much better in the end. So you have to be able to have some radical honesty and acceptance with yourself when these things come up to say, is this just what I'm used to? Or am I really happy here? Is this what's really serving me? Because nothing is wrong with good and healthy comfort. If you are healthy and comfortable, well, don't stop that. I mean, I'm not just saying, keep on, keep on moving forward. Nobody's saying there's anything wrong with that. It's if it's become stagnation, if you've just become used to it and you're afraid of moving past that.
Complacent. That's a big one. You kind of get to a place where you stop expecting too much or pushing too much because there's not much more that you want or need.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's risky, right? Because to stay there or maintain there, there's always going to be external influence to change the story, so that you need to learn to navigate a new way. But Jennifer, it really sounds as though the important thing here is to get more comfortable being uncomfortable. So just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean that you need to rush to find any kind of solution so that you can feel better, because sometimes the feeling better, you need to learn to feel better about something different, and that takes training. It's not just a case of, well, let's instantly fix this so that I don't feel bad, even though the fix that you're applying is actually not going to be good for you.
Yes, you've got to stay on your path and your purpose, right? So you do have to use radical honesty and acceptance of where you're at right now and what it'll take to get to the other way, right? So let's say it's a diet. Well, going through that, okay, I'm happy enough where I'm at, but this is not really what I want to be. I'm starting to see health issues, or I can't get upstairs the same way, or I feel like there's more wear and tear on this. Well, logically, when you sit down with yourself, you'll have to say, well, I'm going to have to start working out, and that's really going to not feel good. And I'm going to have to give up this. I'm going to have to get to an uncomfortable spot, but then I know that the spot after that is going to be really good. So it's the same type of thing. Radical honesty, acceptance, that's the key to change. You make the changes and you have goals to get to the other side. But it's not going to happen if you lie to yourself or you try to anesthetize yourself by not confronting the red flags that are waving right in front of you.
One of the a very powerful tool that you can use here is getting external input. So if you are to speak with a coach or someone who deals with this kind of thing on a regular basis, they can help you become aware of gaps that you might not be able to see anymore. And this is why that external influence is so important, because sometimes we can't see our own stuff, and we need to have conversations with people who know what to look out for so that we can have more awareness.
Yeah, and to help guide you in ways that you didn't think about before. And this reminds me of this, Tracey and I were talking about, there was an SNL sketch that had Bob Newhart in it, and he was a therapist. Now, not a coach, a therapist, which is totally two different things. But someone came to him because she had this fear of being buried alive or something like that. And so he said, I'm just going to give you 2 words. And Tracey, I remember you saying, do you have to write that down? No, it's just 2 words. They're funny. And he goes, stop it. So just stop it. So it's very difficult to just stop it, right? Sometimes you need some help to get the better tools than that. For the other thing. But anyway, guys, this has been the end of the Coach's Corner, our 10 minutes. Hopefully you've gotten $10,000 worth of value in our 10 minutes. That's what we're here for. Just go to SuperClinicProject.com. If you have something and you want to stop it, but you need better tools than us just telling you to stop it, or Bob Newhart telling you that, then go to SuperClinicProject.com. You can click on either Tracey's picture or mine and get a 15-minute free session. Come with a challenge that you're having, and we will help you through it. But thanks for coming. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, but go to superclinicproject.com and click on our faces and let us help you stop gaslighting yourself.
Thank you for listening to the SuperClinic Project podcast, Coach's Corner Edition. If you would like to work with Jennifer or Tracey to 2 or 10x your business, then go to superclinicproject.com and click on either Jennifer or Tracey's photograph to book a complimentary session. Your greatest breakthrough is just a session away.